Yo, what's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you pretty much my completely original media buying process. I've tested a bunch, and this is the most effective one I've found for agencies. It allows you to do really true testing at smaller scales of spend. And we applied this. This is one of my clients, Stripe accounts, and we took them from just under 20K last month to doing 91.4 on Stripe. We launched ads on April 9th. It's April 30th currently. There's another couple thousand on WAP, and then there's also a number of book calls today. So hopefully, going to blow past 100 this month. But in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys just kind of full breakdown. If you've watched my videos before, welcome back. I've got another banger for you. And if you're new here, all I talk about are marketing and sales strategies that we use within our agencies. And I also use for my clients' agencies to scale past 100, 200K a month extremely profitably, doing it a smart way instead of just kind of brute forcing it and trying to smash your way through it. So my video style is very raw. If you have a short attention span, probably not for you. But if you can stick around through this, I'm going to go very in-depth and very detailed. And I think you'll get a ton of value from this. So let's dive in. So let's start by diving into the way we break up the campaigns. The whole point of this, by the way, is in theory, the ideal sort of testing strategy is spend an infinite amount of money on every ad, get it in front of every audience, and that's how you find your true winner, right? Most of us don't have that luxury. So I'm trying to get the truest test possible where you can get the most accurate data back, but do it in a way where the majority of our budget doesn't go into testing and finding winners, but it goes into actually spending on the winners so it can be as profitable as possible, right? It doesn't matter if you find an ad that's able to book $30 calls, and 1 out of 3 closes for 6K. If you've also spent on 200 other ads that got you no closes, right? Overall, you're still not very profitable. So we want to figure out how across the board we can be as profitable as possible. And we break it into 3 sections. So we have a test campaign. That's the first one. And the whole point of the test campaign is to find winning messaging. The second type of campaign we're going to run is a scaling winners campaign. And then the last one is an iterative test campaign. And I will break down each of these in detail, but we're going to start with the first one, which is the test campaign, because that's where you realistically are going to be initially launching. So when you launch your test campaigns, I'm going to label them, I would name it like April 30th test, and we're going to be running like a leads campaign. And then what we do is we're going to break our campaign into ad sets, and we're running ABO. So we have our campaign, and the minimum I'm going to do is 2. You can technically do 3, 5, whatever you want, right? You could have like a lookalike, you could have an interest stack, and then you could have just like a broad ad set. These 2 are normally the ones that I'm going to put most of my attention into. I'll do this if you have like a good prior audience you can base it off of. But for now, let's just imagine we're running broad and interest stack to keep it simple. Now, the way I determine my budget is going to be essentially based off of my cost to get one conversion of whatever I want, right? So let's say we're going for schedules, which is generally what you're doing when you're running an agency. If I'm going for schedules, our average schedule ends up being around $75 in this specific industry. We'll use this as an example. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put $75 into this ad set and $75 a day into this ad set. And so we're spending 150 total a day here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get as many ads as I, in theory, can create. Now, in the past, there would be more issues with like, oh, if you only have X amount of spend, then you don't want to put too many ads within the ad set or within the campaign, because then none of them will get enough spend. The way you want to think about it now is you're basically you're letting Facebook be your media buyer, right? Facebook knows more about who's going to react and who's going to reply well to your ads than you or I ever will, because they're the ones with all the data. And so in a perfect test, obviously, I'd spend equally on each ad. But since we can't do that and we're trying to be smart with our budget, we're trying to put most of our budget into our winners. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a minimum of 15 ads that I'm going to throw into each of these ad sets. Now, realistically, you can go up to about 40. Past 40, I don't see too much of a a boost or a benefit, and so you're kind of just wasting like sort of ad creation effort. One note as well, I would be very intentional in terms of if these are going to be image or video ads. So video ads generally tend to have a better conversion rate for us. They're slightly more expensive. The CPMs are more expensive. But we also find that because people have consumed more and they've kind of, they've seen the person, ideally, if you can have the salesperson, especially if you're a solo agency owner or you have a team, whoever's the one that's going to be on the sales call, if they can film the ad, that's ideal. Because now the people coming in, they've already seen their face. They already resonated enough with them to opt in, right? Let's assume we're doing video ads. I don't combine video and image because what ends up happening is the image ads with the cheaper CPMs will steal all of the spend. Anyways, what I've done here is I've got 15 different video ads, same exact setting intentionally because I'm trying to reduce variables. Normally it's going to be a 2-angle studio shot that helps with retention where we can shift angle 1, angle 2, which is like a sort of 45-degree angle. That just helps with retention, and then it's just like a talking head style with relatively minimal edits and then captions. And we're going to throw ads 1 through 15 into the broad, and then we're also going to put ads 1 through 15 into the interest. So there's going to be a total of 30 ads within this campaign here, right? But there's going to be only 15 different ads, and they're going to be evenly split between the two ad sets. Now, one question I get all the time is, David, I always have broad is always better than interest stacks for me. And first of all, we've tested it. It's about 50-50 actually in which one wins. The point here is we're not intentionally just like audience testing. We're doing the same exact ads. We're just forcing it to spend on two different audiences, two different pockets, right? And what you're going to notice, and this is pretty cool, is both of these, right, will generally spend on the same 1 to 3 ads. And if it spends on the same 1 to 3 ads, then you know, okay, these are the clear winners according to Facebook. But what generally ends up happening, we've had this happen almost every time, is that one of these, and it can be the broad or it could be the interest, it's like genuinely 50-50, will start to get conversions within your KPI, and then the second one will spend and not get conversions within your KPI or just get lower quality people, even though most of the time they're spending on the exact same ad. And essentially, it gives us a super clear outcome. We're like, hey, we spend that for 2 to 3 days. We see that broad is the one driving all the conversions, interest isn't. Then we're going to just go ahead and cut the interest, and we're just going to go ahead and continue to run the broad. And this broad will generally have, let's say it's ads 1, 2, and 3 that are performing well. Those are where all of the spend is going. Those are going to be the ones that Meta has deemed the winner. Now, another note, some people are like, hey, well, how do we know that those other ads aren't going to perform as well? They didn't get any spend from Meta. And the true answer is we don't, right? You could, in theory, spend on those other ads and then find one just, banger ad that Meta miscalculated. But again, remember the whole point of this. We're trying to be as efficient as possible with our spend because we don't have an unlimited budget. And so you have to take guesses and you have to take estimates. And at the end of the day, let's say ad 7 would have outperformed ad 1, 2, and 3, right? Ad 7 would have outperformed them. We didn't get any spend, so we didn't get any conversions on ad 7. I am okay with the risk of missing, a potentially banger ad, as long as these three do drive conversions. Even if these are going to drive conversions at, let's say, $350 in spend to be able to get a conversion and to get a deal off of one of these ads, and ad 7 would have done it at 150. That's okay, because instead of having to spend on all 15 ads, right, which keep in mind increases the overall amount of spend because you're spending on losers as well, we're just taking the ones that Meta estimates will do the best, and then these are going to be the ones that are basically getting all the spend from the ad set. Now, we don't cut this because if it's booking us calls, we're not going to just kill it. But what we're basically going to do is we're going to launch another campaign, and this is going to be our winners campaign. And so let's say it's tomorrow, it's May 1st, right? And we're going to name this winners, like that. And what we're going to do is we know that ad 1, 2, and 3 were our winners. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create a broad ad set. Then we're going to create an interest ad set. We're going to do this basically 6 times. So we have our 6 ad sets here: broad interest, broad interest, broad interest. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take ad 1 and we're going to put ad 1 in here. And same thing here, ad 1, then ad 2, add 2, and then add 3, add 3. Because those, again, remember, were our winners from our winning ad set in our test campaign. And what I generally do for my budget is I will set it so each ad total will get 1 conversion's worth of spend. You can do more. That's what I found works best. So let's go with our example here. It's about $75 for a conversion. And we're going to put around $37 into each ad set, right? So notice total, right, between ad 1, it's getting about $75 worth of spend a day, but it's just split between the 2 ad sets. Same thing here, so $37 for each ad set, $37 for each ad set. So now we're spending across all of our winners, we're spending roughly $225, $230. Now what I do is I run that for between 2 to 3 days, ideally 3, so we can go 1.5x in spend on each ad set of our winners. And the same sort of thing is going to happen. We're going to see that broad for ad 1 becomes our winner. We're going to see interest for ad 2 become our winner. And then we're going to see interest for ad 3 become our winner. And so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to cut our lower performing ad sets, right? So cut that, and cut that. And then we're going to increase around 5% 3 days throughout the week. You can do between 5 to even up to 30% if you want to be aggressive, but we'll just steadily, slowly bump the budget into the winning ad set with the winner, right? So it's starting at $37. Right now we've, after 3 days, we cut the losers, and then we're going to bump this up to, let's say, like $45. And then 2 days later, we're going to bump it up to $55, right? So on and so forth. And you're going to do that until you get them to the highest amount of spend where they stay steady at the KPI. if let's say $100 a day of spend on this one ad, you start to see the KPIs go out of whack. Cool, I'm going to bump it back down to 90 or $85, wherever the last steady level was for that winner. Now notice this means after my initial couple of days of running my test campaign, we have, first of all, a winner, right? We have the broad with those 3 ads that are all driving conversion. So now your test campaign is technically a winner's campaign in a sense, since it's only spending on the ads that are converting, right? And we cut the loser ad set, cut any ads that are taking spend that aren't converting as well, although that's pretty rare. And then we also now have spend going into all of these winners here based off of that test campaign. And so we're spending now about $200 to $300 a day total on high converting ads only. And that's super cool because we were able to test out of 15 different ads. We were able to find the ones that are most likely to be profitable. And then now all of our budget, right? My general rule is 80% of your budget should go into your winners, 20% should go into testing. All of our budget now is going into winners. And we can just continue to run that. Now, one note that I always mention, let's say one of these goes out of KPI. Let's say this one suddenly skews and we start getting 1.5x our target cost per schedule, and we bump the budget down and it doesn't do very well. What we'll do is we'll kill this ad set and we will launch a fresh like a fresh broad and interest ad set for that ad, and then we'll throw the same ad. None of the previous data on it. It's a brand new 2 pair of ad sets. We throw that same ad in there and we will spend 1.5x our target cost on both of those ad sets. If it doesn't perform, we'll do it one more time. And if that ad goes out of KPI and then it fails 2 relaunches within those 2 ad sets, that's when we officially classify that ad as fatigued. But it's funny because some of these ads, for example, let's say ad 1, right? Let's say it fatigues here. I've relaunched some ads like 4 or 5 times, and every single time they get life back and they start to bring in the really high quality people that it was bringing in before. And so like oftentimes just because it fatigued once doesn't mean it's fully fatigued. It just may be fatigued in that pocket. So we'll just kill it and then boom, relaunch it. And pretty quickly it'll find that kind of pocket audience and start to perform extremely well. We do the same thing as well based on salesperson feedback, where if we're getting bookings, but we notice the quality dipped, we'll just kill it and then relaunch it. So same exact ad, same exact technically targeting, but just brand new ad sets. Now, obviously, we are spending on our winners. This is our goal. We've been able to identify them quickly. We haven't wasted a bunch of spend on losing ads. And we're able to tell as true as possible what the winners actually are because we've tested with multiple audiences. But of course, eventually, these are going to fatigue. And so the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out how are we going to do our next test campaign. Now, instead of start, I just chucked my pencil across the room, so that's my bad. Instead of starting from scratch here and basically coming up with 15 brand new variations, what we're going to do is we have 3 winners from this previous test campaign. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take those 3 winners, add 1, add 2, and add 3, and I'm going to just look at the messaging of them. So let's say this one is saying, med spas, and this is not realistically going to be your winner. Just using this as a basic example. Med spas, med spas over 500K. I know that you need more appointments. Let's say that was like the general messaging, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that messaging. Med spas over 500K. You need more appointments. And I'm now going to create as many variations. You can use AI for this. So I might do. I talked to so many med spas over 500K, and every single one needs more appointments. And then you can say, look, I know that you're doing over 500K, per year with your med spa, and the thing that's keeping you from scaling is getting more appointments. You're just going to go ahead and hit multiple variations on that proven winning messaging. You're going to just hit different angles of it. And there are a bunch of different ways to do this, by the way. You can do fresh scripts, which is the simplest one. So you're going to have add 1, and then you're going to do version 1. Should say variation actually. Then you have variation 2, variation 3, variation 4, and variation 5. Now, these are not just different hooks, okay? These are not just different hooks with the same body. It's not going to have the same effect. These are going to be completely brand new ads, different hooks, but you're just trying to get similar messaging. Because what you want to pay attention to, even more important than your bookings, is which ads are driving the people that pay in full, convert on one call, basically the ads that attract the best people. Because whatever is going on, we can try and identify all this stuff, but whatever is going on in that messaging clearly was attracting a good quality person. Now I want to get as much similar messaging that seemed to attract that person so we can get more variations, more variety out there, but I want all of them based off of that winning messaging. So we have variation 1, variation 2, variation 3, variation 4, variation 5. Keep in mind, all of these are completely different ads. It's not just different hooks, but they're all based off of ad 1. And then we're going to do here, for add 2, variation 1, add 2, variation 2, add 2, variation 3, add 2, variation 4, add 2, variation 5, right? And then the same thing for number 3. Now we have 15 brand new ads, but they're based off of the 3 winners that we identified in this first test campaign. And so what we're going to do then is we're going to launch the same exact strategy. Broad and interest, throw all 15 ads within each of those ad sets, and then basically see which ads are getting the spend and which ad set, which pocket of audience is getting the most conversions with the ideal prospect. But the reason this works so well is because where before we basically had these three winners, right? In theory, because what we're doing now is these are all based off of already proven winning messaging, right? In theory, what we're able to do now is our new baseline, our worst performing ad here, should be at roughly as good as our top three performing ads in our April 30th test. So now when we do our May, let's say May 2nd test, we've got 15 brand new ads, and we're doing that same targeting strategy, but all of them are based off of previous winners. So it's kind of like evolution, right? You have 15 different animals, 3 survive. Each of those 3 animals has 5 children that carry the same traits that allow that animal to survive, and then we just continue to iterate on that. 3 out of the 5 children for animal A end up winning again. And now let's say that variation 1, variation 2, variation 3 of ad 1 outperforms all of our other ads, right? Then in our next test campaign, we're just going to have variation 1, variation 2, variation 3, and we're going to have variation 1, variation 1, variation 1, variation 2. And it seems confusing because I'm saying this stuff, but the same strategy, right? We're going to create 5 iterations off of our winning ads again. And we just continue to do that over and over and over. And what ends up happening is, because these are brand new ads, we're not just changing out hooks. So it's never going to actually fatigue, but we're just doing the same messaging that continues to perform. And that way we're always getting closer and closer and closer to what in theory would be the perfect ad, right? Because we're just doing more tests. This is the same way people make smarter AI models. They just create a bunch of AI models, find the smartest one, and then create a bunch of tweaks based off of that smartest model, and continue to do that over and over and over. But what I've found with this is it means that most of your spend, because the same thing happens here, right? Let's say these 3 ads are your winners in your next test campaign. Guess what? We're now going to throw those all into our winners campaign, and we're going to be able to scale that up, launch those, put spend into those. And so we're always dumping spend, the majority of our spend, into our winners, and then just letting the algorithm and iteration be able to identify the highest performing ads possible, and just continuing to crank that out. Um, but that's the strategy. It's super effective. There's obviously a number of nuances, and I don't go into everything because I have private clients I work with one-on-one, obviously my agencies, and I withhold some stuff, so I can make sure that I'm giving the secret sauce to them. But with all of this, you can kind of put together, this is the strategy we're using. I've not found a media buying process on smaller levels of spend, and by that I mean between like 5 to 20K a month, that performs better than this for the agency space. Now, if you want to see another video where I talk about messaging strategies, I'm going to link it right here. And if you would like to work with me one-on-one, have my hands-on help for my private clients, I script ads. They get multiple touch points every single week. I help them with their sales process, basically whatever they need. I'm running multiple active agencies. I see what the market's doing, what they're reacting to. I'm able to just plug our strategy straight into their businesses. And all of my guys have seen really, really good success. And I work in a one-on-one setting. I don't have like a group program or anything like that. If that sounds interesting to you, then there's gonna be a link below. You can schedule. There's gonna be a form. It's like 45 seconds, a video kind of explaining what I do, so you can get a little bit more information. If it sounds interesting, you can schedule on to speak directly with me, and figure out a game plan on how we can work together and on kind of a consulting basis. So anyways, hope you got a ton of value. Go watch this video if you want to. There's a bunch of good stuff in that as well. I'll see you in the next one. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. And yeah, peace.